Ladies and gentlemen, there are seasons in life when standing still is not an option. Moments when you feel a stirring, a gentle pull, or sometimes a forceful push, calling you beyond the familiar. This is the essence of the nomadic life, a journey where movement becomes your teacher, unfamiliar paths become your classroom, and each step shapes who you are becoming. The nomadic life is not about running away, it is about moving toward purpose. It challenges the idea that comfort should be the goal. Comfort may soothe you, but it will never stretch you. Growth requires motion. Transformation demands transition. When you live a nomadic life, you learn to carry only what matters: strength, resilience, faith, and vision. You discover that home is not a place. Home is a sense of purpose anchored inside you. You begin to understand that every stop, every detour, every desert, and every green pasture has meaning in your journey. And yes, the nomadic life can feel lonely at times. Paths filled with destiny often lack crowds. But remember this: greatness rarely grows in familiar soil. It is in the wilderness that we find clarity. It is in the unknown that we learn to trust the journey. And it is through constant movement that we unlock the next chapter of our calling. So if life is shifting beneath your feet, don't resist the movement. Embrace it, pack lightly, walk boldly, and trust that every step has been preparing you for a future bigger than you have imagined. Because the nomadic life is not just a journey, it is an awakening. Growth requires movement because life itself is a journey, never a destination. Every living thing in this world grows through motion, change, and continual transition. A seed does not remain a seed. It breaks open, pushes through the soil, stretches toward the light, and fights against gravity to become something greater. Likewise, human beings are not designed to remain rooted in the same place, the same habits, or the same patterns forever. The moment we stop moving mentally, emotionally, spiritually, or physically, we begin to settle. And when we settle for too long, we slowly stop growing. Movement is often uncomfortable, but discomfort is the birthplace of development. When life nudges you, sometimes gently, sometimes forcefully, to leave what you know, it is usually because what you know is no longer enough to sustain who you are becoming. The nomadic life, whether literal or symbolic, pushes us out of repetition and into transformation. It requires us to step beyond what is predictable and step into what is possible. It is in those moments of transition, when everything feels uncertain, that real growth begins to take shape. People often cling to comfort because it feels safe. Comfort gives the illusion of stability, but in reality, it can become a silent trap. Staying in the same place too long, emotionally or physically, can shrink your world and narrow your vision. You may begin to believe that what you see is all there is, that who you are today is all you can ever be. But movement breaks that illusion. When you allow yourself to shift, to learn, to explore, and to step into new territory, you discover abilities, strengths, and perspectives you never knew existed within you. Growth is simply the process of discovering the parts of yourself that only movement can reveal. It's easy to admire people who live extraordinary lives, but often the only difference between those who grow and those who stagnate is that one group chose to move while the other stayed still. Movement does not guarantee an easy journey. Far from it. You may face challenges, setbacks, and detours. But every challenge strengthens you, every setback humbles you, and every detour expands your understanding. Standing still avoids difficulty, but it also avoids progress. If you never move, you never know how far you could have gone. In life, there will be times when you feel the inner stirring that whispers, there is more for you than this. It may come as restlessness, dissatisfaction, or a longing for something you cannot name. This stirring is not a sign of failure. It is the signal that you are outgrowing your current environment. Just as a plant becomes root bound when it has outgrown its pot, you too can become constrained by spaces that once felt comfortable. Movement becomes necessary, not optional, for the next stage of your growth. But movement is not only external. Some of the most important shifts happen inside the mind. Growth requires movement in thought, expanding the way you see the world, challenging old beliefs that no longer serve you, and embracing new ideas that lift you higher. It requires movement in attitude, letting go of bitterness, fear, and self-doubt so that you can carry lighter emotional luggage into your next chapter. It requires movement in spirit, allowing yourself to be guided by faith, intuition, and deeper purpose rather than by fear of the unknown. This kind of movement demands courage. It is always easier to remain in a familiar place, even if that place limits you. Walking a new path means risking failure, but it also means risking success. It means embracing the truth that you are capable of more than you have allowed yourself to believe. Movement does not always require giant leaps. Sometimes it begins with small steps, reading something new, meeting new people, learning a new skill, or simply choosing to see yourself differently. Every step, no matter how small, contributes to growth. The nomadic life, in the metaphorical sense, teaches that progress is not a straight line. You may travel through dry seasons, dark valleys, or long periods where nothing seems to be changing. But even then, movement is happening inside you. You are learning patience, endurance, and resilience. You are shedding old identities and preparing to step into new ones. Growth is often invisible before it becomes visible, just as a seed spends most of its early life buried in darkness. You may go through seasons where you feel hidden or overlooked, but hidden growth is still growth, and when the time is right, what has been developing beneath the surface will break through. Movement also teaches you to trust yourself. When you walk into unfamiliar territory and survive, when you navigate challenges you never expected and still find strength to move forward, you begin to understand your own capacity. Confidence is not built through ease, it is built through motion. Each step forward becomes proof that you are capable. Each new experience adds depth to your character and clarity to your purpose. Ultimately, growth requires movement because your destiny cannot be fulfilled from the place where your journey began. Every chapter of your life requires a different version of you, and you cannot become that version without stepping into new experiences. The transformation you desire will not come while you remain in the comfort zone. It comes when you dare to move, when you embrace the unknown, and when you trust that each step, whether smooth or difficult, is shaping you into the person you are meant to become. Movement is more than physical relocation. It is the courageous decision to keep evolving. And the truth is simple. If you move, you will grow. If you stay still for too long, you will shrink. Growth awaits you on the other side of motion. Purpose is the true destination because every step we take in life, whether intentional or uncertain, is ultimately guided by something deeper than where we are physically standing. Physical locations change, environments shift, and seasons come and go. But the internal drive that pulls us forward, the sense that our life has meaning, remains the compass that points us in the right direction. People often spend enormous energy trying to reach a specific place, acquire a certain position, or achieve a particular status, believing that arrival will give them fulfillment. But fulfillment is not tied to geography, titles, or achievements. Fulfillment is tied to purpose, and until we discover it, no destination will ever feel like home. A nomadic life teaches us early on that movement alone is not enough if it is directionless. Without purpose, even constant travel becomes wandering, and wandering eventually becomes exhausting. But when purpose enters the picture, every step, even the difficult ones, begins to make sense. Purpose is what transforms a journey from meaningless drifting into intentional progress. It becomes the inner map that guides us, telling us when to move, when to stay, what to release, and what to pursue. Purpose is not something you simply stumble upon. It reveals itself gradually, often through experiences that shape you in ways you didn't expect. Sometimes it emerges through struggle, when adversity forces you to ask deeper questions about who you are and what you are meant to contribute. Other times it rises through moments of clarity, those quiet, almost sacred moments when something inside you whispers that you were made for more. Purpose is not found by looking outward for validation, but by looking inward for alignment. The world tries to convince us that success is found in external destinations, a new house, a bigger paycheck, a prestigious role, or a certain level of recognition. But you can arrive at all of these destinations and still feel lost if they do not align with why you were created. You can stand in a beautiful place and feel empty. You can achieve a goal and feel unfulfilled. You can win applause and still feel invisible to yourself. Purpose is what connects your outer life with your inner truth. Without it, victories feel hollow. With it, even small steps feel significant. A purpose becomes the true destination because it gives meaning to the journey. When you are pursuing what you are meant to do or becoming who you are meant to be, setbacks stop feeling like punishments and start feeling like preparation. You begin to understand that every scene in your life, every challenge, blessing, detour, and delay has been shaping the strength, compassion, and wisdom required for your calling. Purpose turns obstacles into teachers and turns uncertainty into opportunity. It reframes the journey so that nothing is wasted. The nomadic life illustrates that life is less about arriving in a certain place and more about becoming a certain person. Every new environment, every new challenge, every new transition is a tool shaping you for your ultimate assignment. You may not fully understand your purpose in one season, but purpose itself is patient. It reveals itself piece by piece as you grow into the person capable of carrying it. You don't need to have the entire map before you begin the journey. You simply need to walk with intention, knowing that purpose will guide you step by step. One of the most powerful truths about purpose is that it is not static. It evolves as you evolve. What fuels you in one chapter may deepen or shift in the next. This is because purpose is tied to growth, and growth requires continual transformation. You are not meant to cling to an old version of yourself when life is calling you toward new one. Sometimes the journey will require you to leave behind roles, identities, or comfort zones that once fit you but now limit you. That doesn't mean you failed. It means you are progressing toward alignment with who you were meant to become. Purpose is not loud, it is consistent. It may not shout, but it guides. It may not always provide certainty, but it provides direction. You may feel unsure about many things in life, but purpose offers an inner resonance, a feeling that says, This is right for me. Living with purpose means trusting that inner confirmation even when external circumstances raise doubts. It means following the quiet pull inside you rather than the loud expectations around you. When purpose becomes your destination, you stop comparing your journey to others. Comparison loses its grip because you realize that you are not running their race. You are following your own calling. You stop measuring success by the world's standards and begin measuring it by authenticity, joy, and alignment. You stop chasing what looks impressive and start pursuing what feels meaningful. And meaning is always a better compass than appearance. Purpose anchors you. Even when storms come, even when transitions feel overwhelming, even when the path is unclear, purpose keeps you moving forward with hope. It lets you know that you are not lost, you are not late, and you are not being punished. You are being prepared. Preparation often feels uncomfortable, but it is necessary because purpose carries weight. It asks you to grow strong enough to handle what you were meant to impact. Ultimately, the reason purpose is the true destination is because it is the one place where your soul feels at home. Not a physical location, but a state of alignment. Not a map you can hold, but a truth you can live. When your steps match your calling, when your actions reflect your values, when your journey aligns with your destiny, you discover a sense of peace no physical destination can offer. That peace is the sign that you have arrived, not in a place, but in yourself. The journey shapes identity because who we become is not formed in moments of comfort, but in the unfolding experiences of life. The trials, the transitions, the victories, and the losses that mold us piece by piece. Identity is not something we inherit fully developed. It is something we grow into over time. Every step we take, every decision we make, and every challenge we face contributes to the person we eventually become. The nomadic life, with its constant movement and ever-changing scenery, teaches us that identity is fluid, evolving, and continuously refined by the roads we walk. When you walk through different seasons, you begin to see sides of yourself you may never have noticed before. You discover strength in moments of weakness, courage in moments of fear, grace in moments of pressure, and resilience in moments of loss. If life remained the same, predictable, stable, unmoving, you would have no reason to stretch beyond your limits. You would never discover how strong you truly are, how deeply you can love, or how powerfully you can rise after falling. The journey introduces you to yourself. Many people fear change because they assume that comfort defines identity. But comfort often hides parts of us that only adversity can reveal. When everything is familiar, you operate on routine. But when life takes you into unfamiliar territory, when you must learn, adjust, adapt, and endure, you begin to uncover layers of your character you didn't know existed. The journey teaches you to be resourceful when resources are limited, patient when answers are delayed, hopeful when circumstances appear bleak, and determined when obstacles stand in your way. These qualities are not inherited, they're forged. Identity is shaped not only by difficulty, but also by discovery. Every new environment exposes you to new ideas, new people, and new perspectives. You learn from the diversity of experiences, from cultures, challenges, and conversations you encounter along the way. The journey widens your understanding of the world, and in doing so, deepens your understanding of yourself. You begin to see what resonates with you, what values matter most to you, what dreams ignite your spirit, and what boundaries you must protect. With each step, you become more aware of what defines you and what does not. Even your mistakes shape your identity. The journey gives you room to fail, to stumble, to learn, and to rise wiser. Failure is not the opposite of identity. It is one of its greatest teachers. It humbles you, sharpens your judgment, and strengthens your resolve on the journey. Every setback becomes a sculptor shaping your character. Every wrong turn teaches you something about direction. Every closed door teaches you something about discernment. Every disappointment teaches you something about resilience. Identity is not shaped by perfection, but by perseverance. The journey also teaches you the importance of letting go. Along the way, you will release old beliefs, outdated fears, unhelpful habits, and even relationships that no longer align with who you are becoming. This shedding process is painful at times, but it is essential. You cannot move forward carrying the weight of who you used to be. Growth requires release. Identity deepens when you create space for new perspectives and new strengths to emerge. The version of yourself that begins the journey is rarely the version that arrives at the destination, because movement changes you. As you walk through life, the journey builds confidence, not the loud, boastful kind, but a quiet inner assurance that you can handle whatever comes next. Each challenge you overcome becomes proof that you are capable. Each season you survive becomes evidence of your resilience. Over time, the journey teaches you that you are stronger than your fears, braver than your doubts, and more capable than you imagined. This confidence becomes the foundation of your identity, a steady reminder that you are not defined by your past, but by your capacity to keep moving. The journey also shapes identity by teaching you to trust yourself. When you navigate unfamiliar paths, make decisions without guarantees, and walk into seasons for which you feel unprepared, you learn to listen to your inner voice. You learn to trust your intuition, your values, your dreams, and your sense of purpose. You realize that external opinions cannot define your path. Only internal conviction can. Trusting yourself is one of the most powerful identity shifts that the journey brings. But perhaps the most profound way the journey shapes identity is by revealing your purpose. As you move through different stages of life, purpose becomes clearer. You see what excites you, what burdens you, what calls you, and what fulfills you. Identity and purpose are deeply connected. When you understand one, the other becomes clearer. The journey gives you the space to discover the work you are meant to do, the people you are meant to impact, and the legacy you are meant to leave. In the end, the journey shapes identity because life is not about arriving fully formed, but about becoming. Every step adds depth, wisdom, and authenticity to your character. Every chapter contributes to your story. You are not the same person you were yesterday, and you will not be the same person tomorrow. Movement ensures that growth continues. And growth ensures that your identity becomes richer, truer, and stronger with each passing season. The person you are today is the result of every path you've walked. And the person you are becoming will emerge from the steps you are still brave enough to take.